Now, the only local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions. From around your block to around the world, The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center.
Good morning and welcome to the Art Lewis Show. It is Monday here in steamy Alabama. I mean the Great Lakes Bay region. I don't know about all of you, but it certainly does not feel like Michigan in any way, shape, or form. Jonathan, do you enjoy this weather?
No.
that was a very distinct answer. I got to tell you, though, yesterday, the one thing, folks, that I love about the Great Lakes Bay region is I headed out onto the Saginaw Bay in the middle of the afternoon. And it was glorious because it cooled down by a solid 6, 7, 8 degrees. But the breeze was magnificent. And it's always a reminder of how quickly we can go here in our region from the middle of a hot dust bowl, a 97-degree day. And in the snap of a fingers, you're in the middle of a Great Lake. It's a phenomenal thing. And sometimes I think we take that for granted. What do you think, Jonathan?
I agree. If I had a boat, I'd be.
Why don't you have a boat, man? You live in the Great Lakes Bay region.
I got
you live in the Great Lakes state. Yeah, well,
that's basically the same.
Take
it is a boat.
Take that kayak out and go get a breeze and relax. And I forget, are you a cat guy or a dog guy?
Either. I've got cats, but that's just because I can't really take care of a dog right now. I like dogs.
Fair, but can you take a cat on a kayak ride, like with a little cat life preserver? Does that work?
You probably could, but I'm not gonna.
I mean, that's a visual that I want to see: is you pulling out in your kayak on the Saginaw Bay with a cat with a life preserver, and you guys going out to enjoy the bay.
I would return with a lot more holes and scratches and bite marks than I left with.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Well, folks, just as a reminder, I'm sure you know, but be careful out there here today and tomorrow. Still have some pretty hot and humid weather. Make sure your animals get inside. Definitely do not leave them in a car. Check on those who are elderly who may not have air conditioning, and just make sure your circle is taken care of. I definitely am going to do the same. So with that, folks, we have a very kind of fascinating week. You're going to have a week full of Matt Felan with a little bit of Art Lewis sprinkled in. It is Dow Championship Week, which is one of our favorite weeks of the year here in the Great Lakes Bay region. As such, for most of the week, we're actually going to be on location live from the Midland Country Club, the home of the Dow Championship. We are going to be out there starting tomorrow. Art will be live from the Midland Country Club, and then it'll be myself Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The tournament kicks off on Thursday. When I have the show Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we love to bring a ton of guests in that are associated with the Dow Championship. And they're a plethora that come on, whether they are community partners, sponsors, folks with Dow Incorporated, folks with Outlier who run the Dow Championship. You're going to hear from a whole host of people throughout the week who are part of this really magnificent golf tournament and championship. If you guys have not been out there before, it is an LPGA event. The top women golfers literally in the world come out and participate in a team format. So there are two competitors to a team. The format switches each day between best ball and kind of an every other shot. It is an absolutely spectacular tournament and really looking forward to it. And as part of that, this morning, we're kind of going to jump right in with the golf theme and talk with some folks who are going to be associated with the golf tournament. So I want to welcome to the show Paige Kopczyk and Bennett Schmidt with First Tee. Good morning, Paige and Bennett.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, Paige, if I have it correct, are you the executive director there at First Tee?
I am, yeah. Officially 1 year on the job. So it's been a great year, and I'm excited for another week of the Dow Championship.
Yeah, so for our listeners who may have heard of First Tee but don't exactly know what First Tee is, can you kind of give the big picture of exactly who First Tee is?
Yeah, absolutely. So First Tee is a national organization, but we are the Eastern Michigan chapter. So we serve from Lapeer all the way up to Isabella County. And last year we served over 17,000 kids our mission is to use the game of golf to teach life skills and character development. We value the lessons in the game of golf and all the things that it can benefit a kid, and just getting them outside, getting them meeting other people, getting them out of their comfort zones and challenging them, preparing them for the next challenge in life. You know, they're going to go off to college one day, and we want to make sure that they're as prepared as they can be. So our goal is to just grow that next generation into game changers.
I love it. And Bennett, you're the regional program manager for the Great Lakes Bay region, correct?
That is correct. So I'm up here in the Great Lakes Bay region, Bay, Midland, Saginaw, and Isabella County.
Oh, that's outstanding. And so when you talk about program manager, are you involved on the golf side, the life skill side, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I've experience in golf, so I'm on the ground giving golf instruction and then speaking in those life skills that come along with golf, so whether that's keeping your own score, calling your own penalties, shaking hands at the beginning, at the end of every round, along with teaching them how to chip and putt. All of those kind of bundled up in one.
Wait a minute. I'm supposed to shake hands at the end of every round?
Yeah, you take off your hat and say, it was a pleasure playing with you, no matter what you shot.
Even if I shoot like a 120, like I have to still shake hands and be cordial. I just can't storm off the course after shooting a 120.
You shouldn't. I don't think so.
It might be tricky, but
that is totally fair and something I do. I will say it's generally with more laughter when I'm done with a round of 18. There's no need to storm. I have a really good friend, Mike Dorr. I'm going to throw under the bus right now, but Mike always reminds me, Matt, you're never good enough for this to matter, so don't worry about it. Like just play the game and go on your way. So this week, guys, what is your role with the Dow Championship?
Yeah,
we have
so I'll touch it.
a couple different. We
Paige,
are running
Bennett.
Oh, go ahead, Bennett. Go for it.
We're running a junior clinic at Curry Golf Course tomorrow. It's one of our favorite days of the year. We have a bunch of different golf stations set up on the East Course and the driving range, and that's going to conclude with a lesson from an LPGA player, so someone a little more qualified than me and Paige. And it's a fun day. We'll have a bunch of fun stations, and we'll expect over 300 kids in attendance. And then we'll go on site during the tournament. We'll have the kids zone set up. We'll have Golfzilla there. We'll be hitting golf shots and keeping the golf atmosphere fun on the course as well.
Whoa, Bennett, you don't get to say Golfzilla and just kind of end it there. Like you said, you had steak for dinner last night. Like it's just matter of fact. What is Golfzilla and how can I be a part of Golfzilla?
Golfzilla is tough to miss. You're on the course. We have a giant inflatable dinosaur that we use as our driving range, so you can hit golf balls towards this dinosaur. Probably 30 feet tall, roughly. And if you're on the course, it kind of stands out. It usually finds its way on the Golf Channel at night. So if you're on the course, come and take a few swings and try and get the golf ball in its mouth.
Jonathan, I think we're going to have to go take part in this. Like, if I show up, am I allowed to swing at Golfzilla this week?
I would be disappointed if you didn't.
Well, everyone get ready, Paige, because when I'm out there, even though Golfzilla is apparently massive, I will find a way to miss it completely. But, we're there for a good time. So the kids that are coming out tomorrow, tell me about those kids. Where are they coming from?
This event is free to any kid in the Great Lakes Bay region. So from Bay City, Saginaw, Midland, Isabella County. We'll have a few regional partners getting kids there too, like Greater Midland. So it's a diverse group of golfers, many of whom are in our programs across the region.
That's awesome. And is tomorrow already full? You got your group, or if someone's listening, can they still sneak in?
Yeah, so we are full for our pre-registration, but you're welcome to come and register on site. With the heat, we're kind of going to play it by ear and see what it looks like with the group. But registration, you can come on site and register day of. But that pre-registration is full.
And I haven't looked too closely yet. How are we looking weather tomorrow? We going to hold off in the morning? You guys going to be good until later in the day? How are we feeling?
Yeah, so the event is from 9:30 to noon. Registration opened at 9 o'clock. So we're going to run with it, and it is looking hot, but we'll have plenty of water and shade and rest areas that people can kind of take a break from all the activities. And we still plan to have the event, and sunshine's way better than rain, so we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to keep chatting with you, and let's learn a little bit more about what First Tee does year-round here in Eastern Michigan and the Great Lakes Bay region.
We're proud to make Pioneer Sugar for you and your family. Proud to be found in your kitchen, the heart of your home. And it doesn't really matter what you make with Pioneer Sugar, whether it's with our granulated white, light brown, or soft confectioners. It's the memories you'll make using it that will matter the most. Pioneer Sugar, pure and all natural, made from sugar beets grown right here. What could be sweeter than that?
You're great at protecting your personal information. You might even use things like two-factor authentication and strong passwords. But as much as you try to control how your info is protected, there are other places that also have it, and they may not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as the promo code at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia. I got a tour of their headquarters. I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
I'm Taylor Riggs, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures have turned lower. Oil prices spiked overnight, then retreated after the U.S. attacked Iran's nuclear sites. Defense stocks have been trading mostly higher. Northrop Grumman's B-2 bombers carried out the attack. It also involved fighter jets made by Boeing and Lockheed Martin. Tomahawk cruise missiles are made by RTX. Tesla shares are up more than 0.5% after its robo-taxi launch yesterday in Austin, Texas. Hormel Foods is bringing back its former CEO. Jeffrey Ettinger will return to lead the business in mid-July, taking over after current CEO James Snee retires. Ettinger was CEO from 2005 to 2016, and Snee will stay on as a special advisor. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
This is a test. WSGW is conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. This is a test of the emergency alert system on WSGW. Equipment that can quickly warn you during emergencies is being tested. WSGW serves Saginaw, Bay, and Midland counties, along with the surrounding area. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system on WSGW.
Attention golfers, tee up for this year's Core 4 Invitational. taking place at the Sawmill Golf Club Tuesday, July 29th, powered by Audio Central Alarm. The Core 4 Invitational is a 4-person best ball event, only $250 per team. First place takes home an overnight stay and golf package at Shanty Creek Resort. Thanks to Buck Insurance, you'll have a shot at winning $10,000 in the hole-in-one contest. For more information on all the great contests and prizes, or to register your team, visit 1063thecore.com.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center. Visit them at 5789 State Street in Saginaw or online at westsidedecoratingcenter.com. So it's Matt Felan filling in for Art Lewis today and much of the week, actually, as it's Dow Championship Week. And we are chatting quite a bit about golf. And this morning I'm joined by Paige and Bennett from First Tee of Eastern Michigan. So Paige, want to turn to you because, of course, it's exciting. You know, we got GolfZilla. It's a big week around the Dow Championship. But First Tee operates a heck of a lot more than just this week. Can you talk about what your programming looks like throughout the year, but especially here in the summer months when kids are off school and really kind of have the most time to enjoy the game of golf?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do programs right at Curry in Midland. So we have, I think, about 90 kids this summer at Curry specifically, just doing our summer program. So we provide programs. It's $150 to register, but we do offer financial aid to any family that needs it. So during that application process, they're able to just apply and for that financial aid. And we want to make sure that any kid that wants to enjoy the game and wants to just try something new is able to. We don't ever want cost to be a barrier. So that's a 6-week program where they come each week. They see Coach Bennett, and they're able to just learn more about the game of golf. We focus more on that skills side of everything. So we're teaching them putting, chipping, driving, full swing, all the things each week, and then sending them home with a little bit of character development as well.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear about the character development because I think that's just such a unique piece. How do you guys work on character development while you're also working on golf?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite examples that some of our coaches use is when golf is a very unique sport. I mean, the ball is stationary. It's not always moving. Your next shot, you have a few seconds to kind of make those decisions. What club are you going to use? Where are you going to hit it? Are you going to go for the green, or where is it going to go? So there's a lot of decision making in that moment. And that's something that kids are learning early on, teaching them how to make those tough decisions and preparing them to make hard decisions. So that's just one example. I'm sure Bennett can give many more. But yeah, we have unique ways that we're able to just create those conversations while we're teaching them golf.
So Bennett, what do you love most about coaching and teaching these kids?
Honestly, the personal journeys they go on as they develop their golf games. It's one of the only sports that doesn't have a referee. So it's on you to, keep the group moving, call penalties on yourself, to be a good sport. And golf's a game where you can hit a good shot and get a bad break. And that happens a lot in life. And so how you handle that is really going to determine how your golf game goes. And so giving the kids the skills to make that happen really goes a long way.
And so when you see these kids, Bennett, how long have you been doing this now?
This will be my third summer with this program.
Third summer. Do you run into some kids where you're like, wait a minute, this kid has promise? I can see something. There's a cool show that's currently out on Apple TV called Stick, which is about Owen Wilson as a former golfer, and he ends up at a driving range and he kind of identifies a kid who's a phenom. Are you ever surprised at the talent level and how good some of these kids that are out there, and you go, gosh, that kid has the chance to be a really good high school golfer, maybe beyond? What do you see out there in terms of talent?
Yeah, the Great Lakes Bay region, the talent has really taken off the past couple of years. I know Dow just had a good season at the state finals. But you do see a lot of talent. Stick's a good example because that character in the TV show has all the talent in the world, but it's up to Owen Wilson, the former golf pro, to manage the mental side of the game to really get him across the finish line. So like we said, those life skills, that skill of perseverance, grit, is really what's going to make or break you in the game of golf, and in life. So
Yes.
giving those kids opportunity to
So Paige, are the programs filled up for this summer? And is it just at Curry, or where else kind of in that Eastern Michigan geography do you have these classes?
Yeah, up in the Great Lakes Bay region, we're at Maple Leaf and Pleasant View down in Saginaw. So we have a few different locations other than Curry in the Great Lakes Bay region. And then as well down in Flint in Lapeer, we have a few more locations. We did start last week all of our summer programs. So right now registration, we've kind of had a few people be able to slip in, but when you're paying for those for 5 weeks and you've already missed 2, it's sometimes kind of just disappointing to already miss those 2 weeks. But so we don't recommend anyone kind of registering mid programming, but we do plan to have some fall programming that people can get involved in. And we're excited to kind of launch a girls golf program this fall, just at Curry Golf Course, specifically for our girls in the region, and create a community where girls just feel comfortable coming and learning. You know, when you're the only girl in the group and you're surrounded by other boys and things like that, it can be intimidating. So to create a community where girls can just feel empowered to come out there and just learn the game of golf and then create their own community of friends is what we're aiming towards for that. So we're looking for volunteers, and we're looking for girls that want to be involved in that. So if anybody wants to join us this fall, we'll definitely have some things coming.
Oh, I love that. Here's a question for you guys. You know, I think a lot of times there's a stereotype that golf is a game kind of solely for the most affluent. And, you know, you see, you know, you go into Dick's and you start looking at drivers and you're like, oh, my goodness, this is not a cheap club. Right. And so sometimes it can seem like an expensive game, both with the equipment, but then your greens fees. What would you say to those who may think, hey, we can't really be a part of this because we just don't have that kind of money? What do you do if you're in that position? And really, you know, what does that look like? Do you have to bring your own clubs? Do you guys supply all the clubs? And how can kids just get more involved if they don't always have those means?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that any of us are naive that it is an expensive sport. You know, a lot of these costs are going up for sports in general. And that is part of our mission, is to break down those barriers. We provide equipment that any kid that needs it. And we work closely with the USGA and GAM to lower the cost. GAM has a program called Youth on Course, which kids can register and play at courses in all over the country, but in Michigan, that participate in this Youth on Course program at a lower cost. So their greens fees are lessened for being a part of this Youth on Course. So there's a lot of different variables that we're able to offer kids to make sure that those costs are low. Again, like I said, we provide that equipment to any kid that needs it. And again, yeah, it's our goal to make sure that any kid that wants to come out and just try it has the ability to come out and try it, and get them outside, get them away from screens, and just do something different this summer in a safe space where they're just able to be kids.
Oh, I love that. So if people that are listening want to help, can they donate clubs? Can they donate time? Can they donate money? For folks who really want to help this program that are listening this morning, what can they do to help, Paige?
All the above, yeah. We always are taking club donations. We're able to gift those to kids. Really, our need is junior clubs. We are able to kind of make those adult clubs work once they get older, but usually as they get older, they're a little more fascinated and want to invest in their own clubs. But those junior clubs is really where we could use some donations, as well as monetary and time. Time is a big thing. All of our coaches are incredible coaches. To anyone who's listening, they are all volunteers. We are so grateful for the community that we have, and that they spend their time investing in the next generation of golfers and growing these kids. I mean, they know that the heart of this program is to just make the kids feel confident, and you see that when they're coaching. So all of our coaches are volunteers, and if you wanted to volunteer, we would love to have you.
Yeah, so last question, Paige. What's the website or Facebook, and where do people go to find out more?
Yeah, firstteeeasternmichigan.org, and our Facebook is First Tee Eastern Michigan as well.
Well, Paige, Bennett, great chatting with you guys today. I'm going to come find you guys this week at the Dow Championship. good luck tomorrow. And Jonathan Dent's going to do whatever possible to hold that rain off until later in the day tomorrow.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Thank you so much.
Take care.
My name is Kim Harrison. I am a 11-year survivor from a bone marrow transplant. We grew up a sports family, and I have grandchildren that play. My goal was just to do everything I could to heal because I want to be there for them. I recommend people never give up because there's always hope. 11 years later, I got the best seat.
Take a second for the right team at Carmanis.org or call 1-800-CARMANIS.
Art Lewis here from McDonald Ford in Freeland. You've probably noticed it's getting harder and harder to find products made in America. Now, with the uncertainty of tariffs, it's become even more important. McDonald Ford, in anticipation of tariffs, stocked their lot with tariff-free vehicles with many more en route. Not only are they tariff-free, but Ford is offering employee pricing for everyone. That means you pay the same price as Ford employees do. In addition, Chrysler and import buyers considering a Ford also receive the lowest price offered. Chevy truck buyers can now get the truck they've always wanted, the Ford F-150, also at employee pricing. So you see, now is the right time to visit McDonald Ford, M47 in Freeland, for the best selection and lowest possible price. Don't let tariffs prevent you from getting the vehicle of your choice at a price you can afford. Visit McDonald Ford in Freeland today. Remember, tariff-free and employee pricing for everyone.
Save big money on everything for your projects now at Menards. Plastic lattice panels are durable, low maintenance, and are easy to install. They're a great accent for deck skirting, garden trellises, and creating privacy walls. We stock a huge variety of colors and sizes to fit your project. Save big on lattice at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
The WSGW online poll for you.
President Trump and the National Guard. During protests related to enforcement of immigration laws, President Trump ordered the deployment of National Guard troops to solve the problem, riots and looters, the way it should be solved, as he wrote in a post on Truth Social. California Governor Newsom says he did not request any help, and the actions of the president were purposefully inflammatory and will only escalate tensions, as he wrote in a post on X. Supporters of President Trump say Title 10 of the U.S. Code allows the president to deploy the Guard without the request of a governor. Opponents say that's rare and hasn't happened since 1965. The WSGW online poll for you. Do you support or do you oppose President Trump deploying the National Guard in relation to immigration law enforcement? Vote I support. Vote I oppose. Vote I'm not sure. Head to WSGW.com to scroll down the homepage to find the online poll box to place your vote.
The WSGW Studios and WSGW Online are sponsored by Stormmaster Exteriors, your ultimate solution for windows, roofing, and exterior services.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan filling in for Art this week. Every day except for Tuesday, you'll have Art on the air tomorrow. Live at the Midland Country Club out at the Dow Championship. He kind of does his one day of interviews when he's out there. But if you guys don't know, I think a lot of you do, Art is kind of one of the ultimate ambassadors here in the Great Lakes Bay region. And Art serves as the tea announcer out at the Dow Championship. He has since day one, hole one of the tournament. And he's out there early every morning welcoming each group to the tee. Getting to know a lot of the phenomenal golfers that will be here in the region, but he's kind of the ultimate representative of the region. You know, when you're out on T1 and you hear Art Lewis's voice booming and announcing these names of these professional golfers from around the world, you know that you're in Midland, you're in the Great Lakes Bay region, and you're being greeted correct. Art teases me all the time that I'm trying to take his jobs. I am not, but I do announce the 10th hole. I'm the tee announcer for 2 days. So I kind of host the show on Thursday and Friday morning. And then as soon as I'm done, I bolt out and I run to hole 10 and I tee announce out there. So we're kind of within shouting distance of one another, welcoming everyone to the region. I will say it's fun in that a lot of global names. So it takes a little bit of practice. And through the years, it gets a little bit easier as we know the golfers, which is great. But Jonathan, not all those names are as simple as Jonathan Dent. It gets a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, you get Polish names and things in there. You're from Bay City. You should be good at least you should have the Polish names.
Man,
down.
I wish there were more Polish names. It's
Yeah.
a lot of the women from kind of that Southeast Asia.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of them can be real easy. Angel Yin, not a problem. But then you get the Jasmine Sawanapuras and then some others that get a little bit more complex. But yeah, it's a lot of the women that are from seems to be South Korea or Thailand or other areas where, yeah, like I said, not all of them are just Jonathan Dent. A lot easier there.
Well, I deal with that with the Saginaw Spirit at the beginning of each season. There's always a big list of names, and it's like, okay, which one of these do I need to be worried about?
I'll go to the website and actually they have practice pronunciations where all the girls actually give their name, and you just kind of play them over and over, and you're like, gosh, I hope I don't screw up. And then the cards are great because they give the phonetic pronunciation on the cards. But I've found that probably the most terrifying part of doing it is, number one, you're the official starter. So you're just not up there announcing. Like, you actually have the cards and you're giving them to the caddies and the teams. And the LPGA is very strict. You cannot start till 1 second before, 1 second after, right when that clock turns, a certain time. That's when you start the next group.
Really?
And it's like clockwork. So you have to pay close attention. You got to make sure that you're on it. And so you're trying to do all that. And then you're doing that and you're getting the names. There's like a little quick paragraph, 2022 Epson Tour, let winner. And there's different things that are on there. And then you're doing that, and all of a sudden an NBC camera peeks from around the corner, and it's straight in your face because apparently it's a very popular group that's about to come to the tee, and they want to follow that group. And you're kind of not given any warning. So you're like, man, I could have a boogie hanging down. There's sweat dripping. Like, who knows what facial expression I'm making? Like, that camera just kind of ducks around the corner from the tent, and it's just boom, right in your face. And you're like, awesome.
Isn't
like,
this easier, Matt? Isn't radio so much nicer?
Not really. You're judging me the entire time on the other side. So there's no free pass. But it's been fun. My aunt and uncle have called in years past. Said, we just saw you on TV. We were watching the outing. So it's kind of fun. Want to take a couple minutes, folks. If you don't know me, I studied at a school called James Madison College, which is an honors college inside Michigan State University that's really kind of focused on, let's call it public policy. And there's a few different areas of study. My degree is actually in international relations. And when I was studying, there were a couple areas, it's hard to study the entire world over a 4-year time frame. So there's a couple areas that you can kind of pick. And I picked 2 areas of focus. One was Latin America and the Caribbean, and the other was the Middle East. And took several classes about Middle East affairs. And one of the classes was literally taught by a gentleman from Israel who was part of their old military, the Haganah, and knew the content deeply. And I was there in the 90s when the prime minister was Bibi Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the prime minister today. And so I got to study pretty significant about kind of his mindset, his thought process, how he views the world, how he looks at relations with the Palestinians and how things look there. And it's hard to get into our Monday and not talk about what happened over the weekend and, really just trying to talk about it. So I'm going to kind of start, we're going to take a break and I'm going to get back into it. But if I'm sure you saw the United States did engage in the Middle East arena. We bombed 3 major Iranian nuclear sites. Kind of the premise was that this most recent conflict, and really throughout the years, direct conflict with Iran has not happened. Iran generally funds proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, and they just kind of give a wink and a nod, and they have those groups do their fighting directly with the United States or the Israelis, and they're little more skirmishes. We've kind of really avoided direct military confrontation with Iran because it could lead to so much more. Well, Israel has finally decided that they've let Iran's nuclear programs kind of proliferate long enough. So they started this escalation by hitting a lot of those programs, but then they've been hitting other military installations, and they've had a much larger conflict. But long story short, they felt that they really couldn't do the necessary damage to Iran's nuclear programs without U.S. assistance. So Bibi Netanyahu has been pressuring and lobbying President Trump to do so, and we did that on Saturday, as you saw. Kind of conflicting reports in terms of the magnitude of the damage that was done. Two of the sites you can see pretty clearly, but the third is built under a mountain. And if you've ever seen the movie Top Gun Maverick, it's like, okay, this literally looks like that movie in terms of how they set up the theme. But we hit it pretty hard with B-2s that flew out of Missouri with these 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs to really inflict major damage. So that did take place. It was, from what we know, a successful operation. But again, do we fully know the full damage that we inflicted without having people on the ground? No, we don't. But we know that we continue to really cripple and hurt Iran's nuclear program. But the big question is what lies next. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, and we're going to continue talking about that and really kind of things we may want to be looking out for here this week as it relates to the Middle East.
What's the most important part of a retirement plan?
Income is king because we only need income. And if you don't have an income plan, you don't have a retirement plan.
That's Kevin Ray, financial coach at Insight Folios. Kevin tells his listeners every week about the importance of income planning, minimizing taxes, and strategies to lead a worry-free retirement. Learn all about that and get your own complimentary financial review by calling 888-885-PLAN. That's 888-885-7526.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they helped me. They calmed me down. They made me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
RocketGrabPlus.com. Are you looking for an adventure that will take you to new heights? Check out this week's deal at Frankenmuth Aerial Park from RocketGrabPlus.com. For just $22, experience 2 hours packed with family fun, a $44 value. Fly through the air, swing through the trees, and conquer thrilling obstacle courses. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, there's a course level for you. Don't delay. Visit RocketGrabPlus.com to claim this deal today. RocketGrabPlus.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Hi, this is Bill Hobson from Michigan Golf Live, and we have a huge week on tap with both the Rocket Classic in Detroit and the Dow Championship in Midland. The PGA and LPGA tours are in our state, and we'll have you covered with interviews and updates from both tournaments. Don't miss this very busy and special week of Michigan Golf Live as we cover the Rocket and the Dow. Saturday afternoons from 3 to 5 here on WSGW.
Welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan filling in. And before break, we started talking about what occurred this weekend in the Middle East and Iran with the U.S. engaging. Jonathan, you said that you kind of on the weekends unplug a little bit from the news a little bit, which I understand when you do this kind of day in, day out, Monday through Friday. But I'm curious, we always joke, you're from one generation, I'm from another, Art's from another, so we kind of get different looks at the world. From your generation, just kind of your standpoint, what do you think when you hear about this conflict?
I think people my age are overly cynical, and I think I'm one of those people, and it's just kind of one of those, yeah, of course this happens. Like, I don't know. There's a certain amount of pessimism of like, yeah, all right, when do the draft letters go out?
Yeah, so as someone that's an 18-year-old who's, as far as I know, incredibly healthy and athletic, we definitely hope that doesn't happen. What I hope that we have learned is that we can do quite a bit of damage and we can secure a lot of areas via the air.
Yeah.
And the air's even gotten safer in terms of, we have pilots, but our drone technology is so remarkable now. And these drones are the size of, small fighter jets. And we can, you can literally have someone, controlling these drones from the continental 48 states in the middle of Missouri. Maybe all that time where we made fun of kids for gaming and video gaming was a bad idea because they're pretty good at operating these drones. But the big question, to your point, and you're alluding to it, is kind of the what comes next. It was interesting. The New York Times decided to say that we were at war. I will say this for those that are listening. I don't hide it. I'm a known Democrat, but I disagree with the New York Times headline. I thought it was a targeted strike on nuclear facilities that we are concerned are going to be used to harm and kill people.
It was taking the teeth away.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't think, we're not attacking the borders and we're not putting ground troops on. There's no tanks. That sounds like a horrible idea, especially if you know the geography of Iran. It's surrounded by seas and mountains before you can get into areas where there are people that you would fight. So it is got actually one of the most protected places on earth in terms of a land battle. I don't think we want to see that. So I would guess, Jonathan, your generation the same. You don't want to see troops on the ground, right?
No. And I think as far as actions go, like if there was going to be an action taken, this makes sense. It's like I said, taking the teeth away a little bit. And it's a targeted thing, but it's an escalation. And so any escalation brings threat of retaliation and then retaliate to that. And that's just how things go.
And here we go. So going back in our history lessons, pre-Jonathan Dent, Iran in the late 70s was a pretty westernized community. Little girls in schools wearing uniforms and music and dancing. And it was open. You have the Islamic Revolution where they attack our embassy. They take about 144 of our citizens captive for, more than a year. Really tumultuous time. You go to 1983, they bombed the Marine barrack in Beirut, Lebanon, killing, over 200 U.S. soldiers. So this is not like, oh, this is a recent development. We've kind of been at odds with Iran for a very long time. But again, have always found a way to never engage directly on the military front with Iran. But we did over the weekend. So now the question is, now what's next? So I think the big fear, we all get our news from different places. And I often am guilty of going to the Drudge Report. One of the things I like about Drudge, they'll kind of report some things. Well, let's maybe use the word prematurely, but a lot of times when they do it, it's still pretty accurate. They're happy to kind of beat everyone up there. But the main headline right now in Drudge states, world awaits retaliation. And kind of the retaliation can come in one of two forms when Iran does it. And they did it with Israel the first time they got in a skirmish. And they've done it with us before. So one retaliatory thing they may do is hit U.S. bases. But there's two different ways when you hit a U.S. base. They know where kind of some bases are that aren't very heavily populated, that maybe there's some empty buildings, or they maybe hit the outskirts of the base, but they kind of send their warning to save face back to their people of, look, we're responding. We're just not gonna, fall victim to the Americans. Look, we fought back for you. A second way of retaliation is hitting bases hard and killing are harming U.S. troops, knowing, hey, we have so many bases in the Middle East. They know where they're at. They could hit them with missiles, right? Yet a third way is, do they try to hit us domestically, which isn't direct military, but it's kind of through sleeper cells and terrorism, right? And the big question is, what are they going to do? 4 could be nothing. They could feel like, hey, we poked the bear, we got hit. We really don't want to go toe-to-toe with the U.S. Maybe we won't do that. But historically, Iran has always felt the need that they need to retaliate in some way, because if they don't, it shows a sign of weakness and they feel like they're not fighting for their people. Jonathan, any thoughts on what you think or what you fear?
I'm not informed enough on the subject to speculate, but having to guess, I'd say it based on kind of their history of just funding other people, proxy wars, basically. I think any action, they might have to take a direct action now. You know,
so instead of using Hamas or Hezbollah or one of these third-party proxies,
they might have
they may have to do it themselves.
And in order to say, "Look, we did it."
Yeah, you know? What I truly hope is that they decide that they don't want to go toe-to-toe with us, that they don't want to keep getting barraged from the air, that they just want this to end and they de-escalate and get to the table and have peace talks. That's what I hope happens. History, though, has shown that they're going to hit back in some way. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. Like all of you, praying for the best, but just couldn't possibly go on air today and not talk about this subject for some amount of time. So prayers out to all of our troops, but I would just remind anyone, if you're traveling, there have been travel warnings issued by our State Department. Keep aware, keep your head on a swivel, especially if you're heading overseas or to big cities. Just remember your history and your past, and be vigilant. We will be back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Jen.
And I'm Kevin.
We started New Finish 20 years ago, and we've been helping our customers all over the Tri-Cities save time and money with our refinishing and refacing services.
We specialize in cabinet refinishing and refacing, bathtub, tile, and countertop refinishing, epoxy floors, and more. We've helped thousands of homeowners give their spaces a fresh new look without the cost of full replacement.
Don't replace it, New Finish it.
Stop into our showroom at 4940 Gratiot Road or find us online at newfinishonline.com.
That's newfinishonline.com.
RocketGrabPlus.com. Looking for the perfect deal? Rocket Grab Plus has you covered. Right now, you can score amazing deals like half off a $50 voucher to Fritz's Outdoor Discounts located in the back of the Birch Run Premium Outlets, yours for only $25. While you're shopping at the outlets, be sure to stop by Doodle Doo Bakery, where you can get $35 to spend on your furry friend for just $15. Head on over to RocketGrabPlus.com right now to snag an incredible deal before it's too late.
RocketGrabPlus.com. Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
You're great at protecting your personal information. You might even use things like two-factor authentication and strong passwords. But as much as you try to control how your info is protected, there are other places that also have it, and they may not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as the promo code at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
That wraps up this hour of the Art Lewis Show. Want to thank Paige and Bennett from First Tee of Eastern Michigan for joining us. Up next hour, we're going to be chatting with our friends from Corning Corporation, hearing about their expansions into Hemlock and the Great Lakes Bay region. But first, the news.
Broadcasting from the Stormmaster Exterior Studios, WSGW, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, WSGW-FM, Carlton.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. The White House is playing down concerns over President Trump's comments hinting about a change of regime in Iran after the U.S. bomb strikes on 3 of the country's nuclear facilities. Spokeswoman Caroline Levitt.
The president was just simply raising a question that I think many people around the world are asking. If the Iranian regime refuses to give up their nuclear program or engage in talks, we just took out their nuclear program on Saturday night, as you all know. But if they refuse to engage in diplomacy moving forward, why shouldn't the Iranian people rise up against this brutal terrorist regime?
The head of Iran's armed forces has just vowed firm action after the American strikes, and missile attacks between Iran and Israel are ramping up. The BBC's Joe Inwood.
The Fordo nuclear site, one of the U.S. targets over the weekend, was attacked again, this time by the Israelis. They said their objective was to block access to a facility Donald Trump insisted was already destroyed.
Rafael Grossi, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, has issued a warning urging a peaceful solution.
We have a window of opportunity to return to dialogue and diplomacy. If that window closes, violence and destruction could reach unthinkable levels, and the global non-proliferation regime, as we know it, could crumble and fall.
Several Iranian officials claim Tehran moved nuclear material from those 3 sites ahead of time. New report finds the number of abortions in the U.S. rose last year, with more women getting a hold of pills through telehealth. CBS's Jim Krasula.
A group called the Society of Family Planning says that 1 in 4 abortions in the country last year used medications prescribed by a provider who does not see the patient in person. That number was 1 in 20 in the months before the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade in 2022.
It's heating up again from Minnesota to Maine as a June heat wave grips a big chunk of the country. It could hit 100 tomorrow in Boston. CBS meteorologist Nikki Nolan.
We have this, what they call a dome of high pressure. It's just really high pressure that's keeping any kind of clouds or weather away, which is allowing all of the really high temperatures and extreme heat to build across the eastern U.S.
Twin 6-year-olds among 3 people killed when thunderstorms knocked trees into homes in central New York State. Oil prices are flip-flopping today. Stock markets holding steady as Wall Street waits for Iran's response to U.S. strikes. President Trump's just posted to social media urging, quote, everyone keep oil prices down. You're playing right into the hands of the enemy. Then he writes, drill, baby, drill. Dow up 122. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. Protect your auto, home, and business with Progressive and get 24/7 coverage. See if you can save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
We're proud to make Pioneer Sugar for you and your family. Proud to be found in your kitchen, the heart of your home. And it doesn't really matter what you make with Pioneer Sugar. Whether it's with our granulated white, light brown, or soft confectioners, it's the memories you'll make using it that will matter the most. Pioneer Sugar, pure and all natural, made from sugar beets grown right here. What could be sweeter than that?
Welcome to retirement. Now, replace your paycheck. To local financial coach Kevin Ray, this is what retirement planning is all about.
Building monthly paychecks. And how you build those monthly paychecks is going to determine how well in retirement you're going to enjoy it. So sit down and build a good framework, and it starts with income.
So build your framework with Kevin and the team at Insight Folios today by calling 888-885-PLAN. That's 888-885-7526.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Live
From the 100.5 and 790 newsroom, this is WSGW News.
Good morning. It's 86 degrees at 10:05. I'm Lakin Russell. 2 Birch Run area residents were killed in a crash on Guerra Road last Friday. Police say the 34-year-old man and 32-year-old woman were both riding on a lawnmower and attempted crossing the road on the machine around 10:15 p.m. when they were struck by a southbound Ford F-150 pickup truck driven by a 45-year-old Mount Morris man. The couple were ejected from the lawnmower and were killed at the scene. The pickup truck driver was not hurt in the crash. Police say he is cooperating in the investigation. An Isabella County man was arrested June 14th after allegedly threatening to kill police during a call with Central Dispatch. According to the Isabella County Sheriff's Department, 57-year-old Robert Keller called 911 on June 14th and told dispatchers he was going to kill state police troopers, even going as far to call one of them out by name. He allegedly claimed to have 2 guns, which he would use to carry out his deeds when police came for him. However, when police arrived at his home in the 300 block of West North County Line Road, he was arrested without incident, though police say he made further threats while in the patrol vehicle. According to court documents, Keller has a previous charge of assault on his record. He's now charged with 1 count of false report or threat of terrorism, using a computer to commit a crime, and using an emergency 911 service for an unauthorized purpose. City crews will be doing utility work within the right-of-way on East Genesee Avenue between Thompson Street and James Avenue from Monday, June 23rd at 7 a.m. until Friday, June 27th at 4 p.m. During this time, lanes will be intermittently shifted at the work site. Please seek an alternative route if possible. WSGW News Time is 10:07.
Reliable Plumbing and Heating wants to remind local homeowners in the region spring is here, and that means it's time to get your AC ready for the warmer months. At Reliable Heating in Midland, we've been keeping the Bay region cool for over 75 years. Schedule your spring AC tune-up today and avoid the summer breakdowns. You'll be glad you did. For more info or to schedule an appointment, visit them at reliableplumbing.com. That's reliableplumbing.com. Reliable Plumbing, comfort you can count on. Service you can trust.
RocketGrabPlus.com.
Stormmaster Exteriors wants to take you out to the ball game. Hop on the charter bus in Saginaw and head to Detroit for the last home game of the Tigers regular season, Sunday, September 21st. It's the ultimate Tigers fan experience, and you don't have to worry about the drive. Tickets go on sale June 30th at midnight at RocketGrabPlus.com. Don't miss your chance to ride in style and cheer on the Tigers. Tickets and trip details will be available June 30th at RocketGrabPlus.com.
WSGW News Time is 10:08. If you're spending time on the water this summer, the DNR wants you to report any invasive species that you come across. 18 aquatic invasive species on Michigan's watch list have been identified. Volunteers are asked to use the iNaturalist app to document suspected aquatic invasive plants and animals across Michigan's lakes, rivers, wetlands, and streams. Simply snap a photo and an expert will take a look. Soon it will be the 4th of July. Make it a safe holiday. Michigan News Network Ryan Recker has the details.
There's always risks involved with fireworks, but there are also some things you can do to make it safer. Keep fireworks out of the hands of children, even sparklers. Those could burn at 2,000 degrees. Check the label, make sure it's a consumer grade, not professional. And this may not be a legal issue, but Lieutenant Ashley Miller with the Michigan State Police has another tip.
If it's after 11:45, try to limit the use of fireworks for common courtesy for your neighbors. But other than that, just try to be as safe as you can. Enjoy the holiday.
And of course, get a designated driver and never drink and drive. Ryan Recker for the Michigan News Network.
The final phase of expansion is wrapping up at Motown Museum. The third phase of construction will cause public tours to be suspended for about a year starting October 1st. This final stage of construction of the $75 million expansion started last September, but is still a bit behind schedule. The original completion date was next summer. Now it looks like next fall will be closer to the opening of the new 40,000 square foot complex being built behind Hitsville, USA. The front plaza and community programming will continue while public tours are paused. It's 10:09. I'm Lakin Russell.
Here's your WSGW weatherology forecast. A heat advisory remains in effect. We'll see sunny skies here for today with a high in the mid-90s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, mostly clear, low near 74. Tuesday, a chance for showers and storms here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops, a high around 87 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for rain and storms, a high around 78. Thursday, we'll have another chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high of 83. Then by Friday, a chance for rain and storms, high of 84. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with the WSGW Weatherology Forecast. Currently, it's 86.
Now, the only local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions. From around your block to around the world, The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center.
Good morning and welcome to the Art Lewis Show. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center. Visit them at 5789 State Street in Saginaw or online at westsidedecoratingcenter.com. Mike and the gang do a remarkable job over there. Anything from wallpaper and hardwood floors and anything you're going to need kind of for your home needs. As I've co-hosted this show or hosted the show for quite a while, I have become a regular visitor to Westside Decorating Center. So definitely go give them a visit when you're looking at your next home project. Their staff is kind, courteous, and happy to sell you a little bit of everything. So it's Matt Felan filling in for Art Lewis this morning. And just kind of as that pre-heads up, you're going to have a lot of Matt Felan this week. I will be live from the Dow Championship at the Midland Country Club Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're going to kind of chat all things Dow Championship those days. You're going to have Art with you tomorrow, also live from the Dow Championship. I know that he often brings in Jim Fitterling for the Dow Championship week, and that's going to take place tomorrow morning from the Midland Country Club. And then Art will be out tee announcing on hole 1, starting, I do believe he does the Pro-Am too, but he's out there Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday and does a remarkable job kind of being the ultimate host to our visitors from across the world here at the Dow Championship. So looking forward to a great week. But Jonathan, you know, Terry Henney's not here today. I'm going to need you to do something for me.
Oh,
yeah, I am not tee announcing out on number 10 in 97-degree heat with this kind of humidity. We're going to have this thing lowered by Thursday.
I think we can swing that. It might be a little wet, but
that's fine. I got a tent. I got an umbrella. I can live with that. That seems to happen every year. But can you imagine golfing in a professional tournament in this weather?
I can't imagine golfing in a professional tournament. So
that is totally fair. But it should be beautiful out there. Let's just through the years, we've gotten pretty lucky that the rain just kind of comes through opportune times, or that at times, we've had many where it's kind of come through either late at night or early in the morning. So let's knock on wood and hope that happens. But as you guys know, when I host a show, we love to chat about the Great Lakes Bay region and things that are going on. And one of the most exciting things that we have happening right now is some job growth. And we're seeing it all across the region. We've seen new investment in kind of every corner and nook and cranny of the region. And there have been some instances where these are incredibly visible sites where you can tell, oh, there's a whole lot of jobs going in there. And one of those is currently happening in Saginaw County across from Hemlock Semiconductor with our friends from New York at Corning. So this morning, excited to be joined by Carlos Scott, business director of that site that's being constructed here in Saginaw County. Good morning, Carlo.
Good morning, Matt.
So the first thing I have to ask, because this region gets confused, we do it all the time. We got used to for 70 years saying Dow Corning, Dow Corning, Dow Corning. We were home to Dow Corning, which was a joint venture between Dow here in Midland and Corning in New York, really working in the silicones industry. That partnership ended through a lot of the restructuring of Dow with the Dow-DuPont merger, the spins of Corteva, DuPont, Dow, etc. Dow absorbed kind of the silicones businesses that became, they bought the Corning out of that side. So now what had been legacy Dow Corning companies are now Dow companies as part of a material sciences company. But Corning, a very big company that exists in upstate New York and has been there for a long time, is back here in the region. But let's start there. Carlo, can you tell our listeners exactly who Corning is? Because we screw up all the time. I do it. My staff does it. We can't help but to say Dow Corning after 70 years. So we apologize. I'm sure you hear it all the time. But for our listeners, who exactly is Corning?
So Corning's been around for 174 years. We're one of the oldest and one of the very few companies that were on the original Fortune 500 list that still remain today. Some of our first innovations were the glass envelope for Thomas Edison's light bulb. We've played major roles in inventing low-loss optical fiber, which now powers data centers and the internet and all the infrastructure we rely on. We helped create the ceramic substrate technology that's used in catalytic converters in response to the Clean Air Act in the 1970s. We helped invent LCD technology that's led to flat panel displays. And we've done a lot of other major innovations. If you have a smartphone, an iPhone, any of Samsung's phones, our glass is on the front and back of those, as well as in the display stack. And so Corning's an interesting company. We're primarily a glass and ceramic materials company, but we also have capabilities in optical physics. And so we're a materials company in sort of that subset of materials. Most people interact with probably 5 or 6 pieces of our technology every day, but they never realize it because we're on the material end and we sell to all the companies and brands of the devices that you buy. I'm glad you brought up Dow Corning. I do get that a lot when I'm going around the local area and I tell people that I work for Corning.
We can't help ourselves, man. It just,
but it's
well,
fair.
It's
but it's fair because, you know, back during World War II, Corning research scientists invented silicones. But because of the process needed to manufacture silicones being more of a chemical process, Corning did not have the know-how for how to do that. So that's why we came to Dow and partnered with them through that joint venture to actually industrialize our invention. And we're excited to be back in the area and to kind of build on that legacy. You mentioned the location of our new site across the street from Hemlock Semiconductor. That is the one asset from the former Dow Corning joint venture that Corning still owns. We own 80% of that company, and we're excited to expand across the street and deepen our presence here.
So first of all, I am happy to know. It sounds like I'm talking to folks from Dow because they often say you touch products from Dow all the time and don't know it. The silicones, you know, are in iPhones as well, right? So
Yep.
Every time you pick up your smartphone, folks, you have both Dow product and you have Corning product and a lot of others. I'm just going to give you a big you're welcome. Between me and my kids, we have cracked many a screen so that we are doing everything we can to keep Corning in business as long as we can, because we go through glass on iPhones a little bit more than we probably should. We just can't help ourselves, which was pretty funny. It seems like that's the one part of the iPhone. Like I can get an iPhone and it can last me quite a while, but I'll go through that glass 2 or 3 times, known to accidentally on purpose drop my phone quite a bit. So here in the Great Lakes Bay region, you guys have a massive site across the street from Semiconductor. Tell us about what is happening at that site right now.
Yeah, so Hemlock Semiconductor is the only U.S. company that makes hyperpure polysilicon, right? Which is the raw material that goes both into semiconductor chips as well as silicon-based photovoltaics, solar. So the predominant technology that you'll see in solar panels today is based on that technology platform. With the Inflation Reduction Act and some of the tax credits that the government created to try to reshore the solar supply chain in the United States, we've been able to leverage our position at Hemlock Semiconductor as providing the raw materials to go downstream into making components for the solar industry. So that's what we're going to be doing across the street. It's a huge investment. You'll see in press releases that have been sent out that we're investing about a total of $1.5 billion and creating about 1,500 jobs at that location. And it'll all be basically taking Hemlock Semiconductor's raw material and then converting it into components that can then be used by cell manufacturers and panel manufacturers downstream.
So I have to repeat this because I don't think the region fully grasps the magnitude of this project. $1.5 billion in investment. And that's just at the Corning site.
Yeah.
That doesn't take into account what HSC is doing to upgrade their plants, get plants that had been shut down back up and online, and then them potentially looking at increased production and investment via the CHIPS Act as well, which again, why I bring this up, people hear HSC or Hemlock Semiconductor and they think it's a different company. It is not. It's 80% owned by Corning. So it's really just one giant Corning campus these days to a certain extent, correct?
It is to an extent, right? And so, obviously, we're closely related. We own 80% of HSC. It is essentially, their materials will come across the street, we'll process them. And it is, this combination of employees at HSC and the new Corning facility across the street will create one of the largest manufacturing hubs for Corning in our entire global fleet of manufacturing. So it's a huge investment. Between the two sites, when we're done hiring, we'll be, somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 employees. So it's a huge sort of campus that we're creating down there.
Yeah. So I want to ask one more question before we go to break. When you say components, I think a lot of us sometimes get confused. Give us an example of what you mean by you're going to be producing components. We hear that and it sounds kind of generic. Like, what does that mean exactly? Right. What will you be manufacturing?
So the solar value chain in this type of technology, it really starts with polysilicon, which is the raw material that Hemlock Semiconductor makes. The next step is you take that polysilicon, you melt it, and then you grow it into monocrystalline silicon ingots, and then you slice those into wafers. Those wafers then go to cell manufacturers who turn them into cells. They send them to module manufacturers who assemble those cells into modules or panels is what a lot of people call them. We're making wafers.
Got it. It's absolutely fascinating technology. It's cutting edge technology that, again, folks, I remind you, isn't happening it is happening, but this isn't Silicon Valley we're talking about. This isn't the Triangle in North Carolina. This isn't Austin, Texas. This is the Great Lakes Bay region and in Saginaw County that this level of technology is taking place. This is a great discussion. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back with Carlos Scott from Corning.
It happens after every commercial building gets built.
That looks great, boys. Wow, what a change. The owners are going to be thrilled.
Even after cleaning out the garage or shed. That leftover scrap metal can be a burden, but it doesn't have to be, and it can make you some cash. Rifkin Scrap Iron and Metal is a metal recycling company that'll pay you cash and recycle your metal for the future. Rifkin Scrap Iron and Metal also makes it easy. We can provide containers for industrial manufacturing facilities and small specialty shops for moving and storing scrap metals. Looking to scrap a vehicle? We got you. Rifkin Scrap Iron and Metal in Saginaw, just north of the Dow Event Center. Also located in West Branch, 1 mile off I-75 and M76. Schedule a car pickup or check metal prices now at rifkin-co.com. Rifkin Scrap Iron and Metal, recycling today for tomorrow.
Friday, bonus pricing has been extended at Rifkin Steel.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Paige Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com, sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks open narrowly lower. Defense stocks rose in pre-market trading after the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear sites, but Lockheed Martin shares opened flat. Northrop Grumman up just a fraction. Palantir Technology shares up 1.5%. Hims & Hers Health shares opened down 28%. Novo Nordisk, maker of weight loss treatment Wegovy, is no longer working with Hims & Hers and accused the telemedicine business of not not transitioning its patients onto Wegovy after the shortage ended. Tesla shares are up 4% following its robo-taxi launch on Sunday in Austin, Texas. There's a merger in the food distribution business. C&S Wholesale Grocers is buying Spartan Nash. The deal valued at more than $1.7 billion. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosilva. Invested in you.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Right now, get a $15 gift card after rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro refrigerant products at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Makes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. This is not Art Lewis. It's Matt Felan filling in. And I'm with Carlos Scott today from Corning, and we are chatting about their newest venture taking place here in the Great Lakes Bay region. And it's taking root across the street from Hemlock Semiconductor. So we've been talking about hyper-pure polysilicon, which even I think, Carlo, a lot of folks here don't fully understand. They're like, oh, we know the company's there, but a lot of times they don't fully understand exactly what it is. So when we say hyper pure polysilicon, and I want to make sure I get it right, the purity of the product goes to point and then 13 nines, right? 99.99999 until you hit 13 nines, right? It is some of the cleanest product that you can possibly get. Why is that so important when you're talking about using that raw material that comes over now to Corning across the street to make these components in the solar industry? Can you explain why this product is so specific and why it has to be this pure, that they go through the process to get it to that level of purity, what it means in that solar industry?
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely important, probably even more so in the semiconductor industry. But what we're creating are, electronic devices, essentially, right? And so by removing all of the impurities in the raw material, you'll have much better electrical performance of the end product, because you won't lose some of the conversion of, in our case, photons into electrons due to running into impurities. So it's extremely important. Hemlock Semiconductor, there are really only 3 companies in the world really that can do what Hemlock Semiconductor does on the semiconductor end. There are many more that are making solar grade product, but we do believe that having access to this really high performing, high quality material made at HSC will give us an advantage in terms of manufacturing yields and performance for our end customers.
So question for you, kind of knowing solar markets and the history of our region, I think that there was the hope years ago, even going back far as 20, 25 years ago, that this would have happened much sooner, that this region, because of semiconductor being there, because of the product being produced, that we would have had a much bigger role in the production of solar components, period, and that we would have been able to really see an American market emerge in solar. But it's really been held off for quite a long time with what's happening in China, India, and other places. Can you talk about why this is happening now after kind of those years where we thought, hey, this was going to happen? We've had a great company called Suniva, which is based in Georgia. They had come up to this area and built a facility. It was short-lived because of those markets. Why is the time now that this is going to be successful and that Corning's making this level of investment?
I think the reason it'll be successful now is that you actually have the government working hard to create a policy environment that creates a protected U.S. market to actually enable U.S. companies to compete in this industry. And they're doing that for a few reasons. And one, of course, being energy security. You don't want, the supply chain for your major sources of energy to be overseas. And so the government started under the Biden administration with the Inflation Reduction Act, started putting tax credits in place to encourage and enable U.S. companies to compete with subsidized and artificially low foreign imports that are produced overseas. They've started erecting trade barriers through tariffs and other things. They have the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which, because of some ties within China of where they make their polysilicon, it's restricted a lot of the import of those materials into the U.S. And so, I think the government has attempted to create the market conditions to enable the reshoring of the solar supply chain. You mentioned Suniva. Years ago, the U.S. 10, 15 years ago was independent for solar energy. The industry wasn't as big back then, but that all shifted overseas. And in order to compete, for U.S. companies to be able to compete in manufacturing these items, the government has to engage in industrial policy. So that's really the policies that the government has chosen to undertake is what's really created the opportunity.
So, Carla, do you think this was almost the unintended positive consequences of COVID, that during that time when we had such supply chain shortages, chip shortages, other things, that the U.S. government said, whoa, we are in a bad spot. And this is showing that we're fragile in terms of some of the infrastructure in our economy and our ability to compete. We have got to manufacture this here. We have got to own this here. And so that these policies and laws were put in place to protect the industry, so let them grow. Did it almost, if COVID didn't occur, would have this changed?
That's sort of hard to say. I do think the situation created by COVID was a bit of a wake-up call, right? Especially for critical supply chains. I mean, we saw in Corning, one of our businesses at Corning is in pharmaceutical packaging. And so we played a major role in COVID in terms of trying to stand up vial production, because a lot of that was overseas as well, right? And so I think where there are things that are very important, whether it's advanced semiconductor manufacturing, right? So they passed the CHIPS Act in part because of how important those items are to our aerospace and defense industry, as well as a lot of other products that we use, right? Life sciences and pharmaceutical packaging, and then I think energy as well. I think those all are areas where not just the U.S. but other countries and regions as well want to have resilient supply chains sort of locally. But then I also think there's some realities of the, geopolitical situation where the U.S. government wants to make sure that these critical supply chains, if they can't be within the U.S., they're at least nearby or within, sort of friendly countries. And so you're starting to see this idea of reshoring, but also friendshoring as well for some of these industries.
Yeah. And again, I go back to this and it truly blows me away. We're talking about this happening right here in Saginaw County. And I want to make sure exactly what township is the plant in.
So that's a really good question, because the road, North Orr Road, that separates Hemlock Semiconductor from the new Corning Solar Factory is the township line. And so we're in Richland Township. Hemlock Semiconductor's in Thomas Township. But of course, we rely on sewer, like the wastewater treatment plant in Saginaw Township, and then we get our water ultimately from the city of Saginaw, and then all the pipes go through Thomas Township. So it's actually involves all of these municipalities are all working in concert and having to coordinate and work together to deliver the services that we need.
So you're going to offer the perfect transition. We come back. I want to talk about the site and what the site looks like. And I think even more importantly, jobs and what the jobs look like, and what the hiring process looks like, and where you guys are after these messages.
Hi, I'm Jen.
And I'm Kevin.
We started New Finish 20 years ago, and we've been helping our customers all over the Tri-Cities save time and money with our refinishing and refacing services.
We specialize in cabinet refinishing and refacing, bathtub, tile, and countertop refinishing, epoxy floors, and more. We've helped thousands of homeowners give their spaces a fresh new look without the cost of full replacement.
Don't replace it, New Finish it.
Stop into our showroom at 4940 Gratiot Road or find us online at newfinishonline.com.
That's newfinishonline.com.
RocketGrabPlus.com.
Are you looking for an adventure that will take you to new heights? Check out this week's deal at Frankenmuth Aerial Park from RocketGrabPlus.com. For just $22, experience 2 hours packed with family fun, a $44 value. Fly through the air, swing through the trees, and conquer thrilling obstacle courses. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, there's a course level for you. Don't delay. Visit RocketGrabPlus.com to claim this deal today.
RocketGrabPlus.com.
A few years ago, my youngest son had something minor turned into something very major in a matter of hours.
It was Medishare that came through for us, and there was no hassles, there was no problem.
That's what's so wonderful about knowing that you're a part of such an incredible ministry.
Medishare is a biblical approach to healthcare where Christians share each other's medical expenses.
Medishare is a family, a group of people that stick with you through the hardest times of your life.
Medishare isn't insurance. It's a nonprofit ministry over 30 years old, and members have shared over $8 billion of each other's medical bills.
We don't have to spend so much on health insurance. You can focus on supporting other people.
Medishare is affordable.
Medishare is biblical.
Medishare is family. Join thousands of Christians who can help you save on your health care and support your family when you need it. Call 877-26-BIBLE, 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Your WSGW morning team.
Police conducting a traffic stop. A woman stopped. Apparently, she had a suspended license. There was an active warrant, and all that good stuff. The officer approaches the vehicle and makes an unusual discovery. Well, there's a raccoon, which he later finds out is her pet raccoon named Chewy, sitting in the front seat, and in its mouth it had a glass meth pipe. Yeah.
That's not a raccoon you want to mess with. Meth addicted and rabid.
Oh. Chewy had gotten hold of a glass pipe, leading officers to find a bulk amount of meth.
Dang it, Chewy. We knew he would get into trouble one of these days.
Thankfully, Chewy was unharmed. It is legal for residents to own a raccoon as a pet if they have the proper documentation, which, of course, she did not. On the Facebook post, while our officers are trained to expect the unexpected, finding a raccoon holding a meth pipe is a first. I hope to God so, and I hope it's alive.
The morning team. 5:30 to 9 on WSGW. Thank you for being with WSGW in the Stormmaster Exterior Studios. You can also listen to WSGW online thanks to Stormmaster Exteriors.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan filling in for Art, and we are chatting about my favorite subject, the Great Lakes Bay region. And I'm joined today by Carlos Scott with Corning, talking about their solar project taking place across the street from Hemlock Semiconductor. So, Carlos, let's jump into the site. So I've heard this. I got a chance to take a bus tour a couple months ago. And so we went on the HSC site and took the bus tour, and we drove around the Corning site. But someone used this statistic, and I'd love to hear the details to it. But they compared the amount of concrete used compared to the Hoover Dam. And they said that a quarter of the concrete used on that new Corning site, it's a quarter of the Hoover Dam's concrete, which, if you know the history of the Hoover Dam and how much concrete was used in that thing, that's a lot of concrete. Is that true? And just tell us, how big is this site?
This site is enormous. And yes, that is true.
So how much concrete is a quarter of the Hoover Dam?
I don't have the exact tonnage of concrete, but what I will say is, some of our process equipment does have to sit on these sort of 10 foot by 10 foot cubic solid concrete foundations, right? And we have many of these machines. And so there is a lot of concrete, not just your typical, structural concrete, but also some of our process equipment has to sit on quite a bit of it. Our services are huge. We're going to be processing, 3 million gallons of water a day through our facility. We are using a large amount of electricity to power all of our equipment. Our facility itself is something like 1.2 million square feet. We're on an 80-acre plot of farmland that we purchased, and we're taking up most of that with the facility. So it is an enormous facility. This will be Corning's largest facility in the United States and our third largest globally. So this is an enormous investment, an enormous site.
1.2 million square feet of manufacturing space.
That's correct. That's the enclosure of the building.
So when you guys decided that you're going to do this, was the infrastructure needed, or did our localities have to work hard to make sure that the sewer, electric, fiber, everything, clearly there's a ton of electricity because across the street at Semiconductor, it's the largest single source user of electricity in the state of Michigan in terms of one site. That's number one. It's not even close, right? So that there's a ton of power, but you're talking about 80 acres of farmland. I'm guessing needed quite a bit of work. What had to be done?
A lot had to be done. So, the site did not have sufficient water, did not have, access to the sewer system, did not have, enough electricity. So there was the larger distribution, obviously, of electricity is headed to the area because of Hemlock Semiconductor, as you noted. But Consumers Energy is having to build another substation just to supply our site. And so that's underway. But the townships, so I mentioned Richland Thomas, Saginaw Township, and the city of Saginaw have all been extremely supportive. They're all expanding their infrastructure or giving access to their infrastructure to make it happen. This obviously would not have been possible without the support of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, who provided grants to the townships to help facilitate some of this. They've improved the roads. So if you drive through that area, you'll notice that there's a lot newer paved roads there that are wider and capable of handling heavier equipment. And so none of that would have been possible without support of all of these municipalities working together. And I would be remiss if I didn't specifically show my appreciation for Joanne Crary and Saginaw Future, who really helped coordinate all of these activities with all the municipalities and help make it happen, as well as the support of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, who provided some tax breaks and other incentives directly to us, but also helped make money available to help these municipalities expand their infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought Joanne up, who recently retired, but is truly one of the best economic developers in the entire country. And again, folks, this is right here in the Great Lakes Bay region, the level of talent and people that we have. So is the site operational? Are we manufacturing yet?
We are not manufacturing yet, but we are getting close. And so we do anticipate that the first products will be flowing off the line sometime during the second half of this year. And we're almost done with the first half. So we're very close. We're hiring people, we're training people. We're getting ready to go, but construction's still ongoing. And, we talked about how big the site is. We have, over 1,800 contractors that are on the site today working on all sorts of different things to get the facility up and running. And so, it's created a lot of opportunities for the skilled trades and construction industry in the area. And then we've begun hiring and training the actual production workforce that will work in the facility, and we're adding more every week or being onboarded.
So, Carlo, if I'm not mistaken, the initial announcement was 1,100, but you added another 400 in the last month or so. So we've said about 1,500. How's it going so far on the hiring front?
So we are still actively hiring. We have made a lot of progress. So we've been very happy with the talent that's available, both the quality as well as the quantity. We are hoping to hire, to continue hiring through the end of July. We have 3 major hiring events that will happen over the next little over a month. And so we're looking to hire into essentially a pool that will then draw from as we start up. And so the way that it works essentially is interested candidates would apply online. They then would be invited to come to one of our actual hiring events where they'll go through interviews, they'll go through some tests to make sure that they're able to do certain jobs, right? So that we can make sure that we're funneling them towards the appropriate job within the facility. And then they'll be, made an offer that day, and then we will reach out to them, a few weeks before they're actually supposed to start and give them their start date. And so that's sort of the process that we've been going through. But we are still actively hiring both for production workers as well as skilled trades positions, in particular, maintenance technicians, millwrights, and electricians.
And so when you talk about these jobs, what does the wage look like? What's a range of wages for these jobs?
So it really depends what you're doing, right? But what I will say is that the lowest paid, lowest skilled, least experienced production worker in the facility will start out at $20 an hour, and those will go up. Some of our skilled trades people with lots of experience will be making up to like $47 an hour, and there's a lot of based on both what exact job that they're working in within the facility as well as their experience. And then there's opportunities for people to also fill leadership roles that will give them additional hourly compensation to help, sort of run a subset of equipment or sort of oversee part of the process. And so we're very happy with the opportunities here. What we're really trying to do is create opportunities for people to have a career at the company so that they can grow both within their specialty at the plant, but also if they were to go, upskill into more skilled specialties during their time there, I think they'll have an opportunity to grow.
Really quickly, can you give that website right now so people that are hearing this, like, okay, now where do I go? What website do they go to for this?
So they should go to Corning's website, so corningjobs.corning.com. And they can also, probably the easiest way to find it is just go to Google and type in Corning jobs in Hemlock, Michigan, and that we have a dedicated sub-site with all of our job postings for Michigan that they'll check out. I'll also, after this, I can send you an email with a flyer that has like a QR code, and we can distribute that, and people can just scan that QR code. It'll take them right to that Michigan website.
Outstanding. Well, we're going to be back here in a few seconds with Carlos Scott from Corning.
The Rummel Agency in Frankenmuth, Caro, and Saginaw is celebrating, and you're invited. 75 years serving your community is something they are very proud of, and they want you to celebrate with them. Wednesday, June 25th, the Rummel Agency will be welcoming both clients and the community to their Frankenmuth office at 522 South Main. Park in the area and join them behind the office under the tent. Enjoy local food and their very own anniversary beer brewed right in Frankenmuth. The Rummel Agency wants to get to know you one-on-one so they can help get the right insurance protection for you and your family. Ever since 1950, that's been their reason for doing business, and people continue to trust the experts at the Rummel Agency, having fun and helping people. Now it's time to celebrate 75 years and going strong. June 25th at the Frankenmuth office, 522 South Main, from 4 until 9 p.m. It's the open house at the Rummel Agency.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15's. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-683-7711. 800-683-7711. 800-683-7711.
Hey, Tinsley, why don't we use EasyCater to order food for staff lunches?
Because my 46-page acronym system is so easy. I just have to salad, stay alert to late arriving deliveries, pie, put in expenses, and Google Pie. Go out and get everyone's preferences and allergy information.
That's supposed to be simple?
No, simple is Steven, Irma, and Margie prefer lasagna and empanadas.
OMG.
No need to make work life more complicated. Just use EasyCater, the easy way to get food for work.
WSGW is keeping you connected with the Great Lakes Bay region and the world. Tune in to quality local shows. Mihinte on Air, United Shades of Gray, That's What She Said, Generating Gratitude, and Hey, Great Lakes Bay. Saturday mornings until 9 and Sunday afternoons at 4, or anytime on your favorite podcasting app. Great Lakes Bay Connections. Local voices, local stories, local people.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan filling in for Art today, and I'm here with Carlo Scott from Corning, talking about their big solar component plant that's going in Hemlock, Michigan. So, Carlo, question for you. It's one of my favorite questions. So you living here in the Great Lakes Bay region now? You move here?
I did. Myself and my family moved here this past Wednesday. We're moving to Midland. We have 3 young kids, a 5-year-old girl who will start kindergarten in the fall, a 3-year-old son, and a 1.5-year-old daughter.
Oh, this is awesome. So our biggest goal at the Great Lakes Bay Region Alliance is to grow population in this region. We want to grow by 10% by the year 2040, so 40,000 people. So with that, we're now at 39,995 because the Scott family has moved 5 this week. So thank you for your maneuver to help us reach goal. What do you and your wife notice about this region? What do you like about it? Why did you agree to do this and not say, hey, you know what, Corning folks? No, I'm good. I'm going to say in upstate New York. What do you like about the region so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, I've been working on this project full time for the last 2 years. And during that time, I've traveled out here a lot. I've worked very closely with our colleagues at Hemlock Semiconductor. I've gotten to know a lot of local stakeholders through different events. I mentioned Saginaw Future before. I've mentioned a lot of the municipalities. And one thing I've noticed is how welcoming everyone's been, right? And how much people seem to care about this region. It seems like an extremely friendly place to raise a family. So we're very excited. There seemed to be a lot of activities and different things for the kids to do. And so my wife and I both felt, when Corning asked us to move out here, we jumped in, with both feet and are excited to become part of the community.
So you were in the Navy and you're going to live here in the Great Lakes Bay region. Does that mean you're going to buy a boat? You can get a boat and enjoy the Great Lakes.
So I did go to the Naval Academy, but I'm a Marine, and so typically I like to ride on boats that others are piloting.
So your wife will drive the boat. Got it. So we have a plan there. You got to get a boat.
Yeah,
man.
we're excited. We do have a small 20-foot camper that we like to go camping and explore things. So we're excited to get all around the state and see a lot of the state parks. I've also been trying to learn how to fly fish. And I know there's some pretty famous fly fishing rivers and streams here in Michigan.
There are,
especially
absolutely.
up in like the Grayling area and others. So I'm excited to go check that out. So that'll be fun. I mean, obviously Michigan is well known for its outdoors activities. So we're excited to get out there and see some stuff.
If you're going to be here, we're going to need you to get a boat. Okay. I don't care what you say. We're getting a boat. And then second, you're going to have to learn how to walleye fish and perch fish and get out on the Saginaw Bay. We were joking. I was out there with a boat and it was so doggone hot yesterday. We're like, we got to find relief. And we jumped out in the bay, but we laugh, you go, 15 minutes from sitting in your living room to being on the water so quickly here. It's actually kind of one of the great things that we get to do here, which is awesome. So you've moved around, quite a bit, but now that you have, 5, 2, and 1, it gets a little bit harder to move. You think you're here for the long haul?
Yeah, we're definitely, we're here. It's this job's what brought us here, but we'll see. I mean, I think what we're doing and what we're building, what Corning's building here is definitely here for the long haul. And so, we will always approach wherever we go with the intention of, diving into the community and getting involved in everything. How long we'll be here, we'll sort of, we'll see. It part of it depends, if Corning wants me to do other stuff down the road. But we're certainly going to be here for a while.
Yeah, good for you. So last question I really have for you. A lot of the investment we're seeing in the region, SK Siltron's a great example, over in Bay City, and what they do kind of with the wafers and the silicons as well. But they were here previously. There's been SK facilities in Midland before. Same thing with Corning. You guys have been here before through the joint venture. So you knew the company knew the region. Yes. How important was the affordability and productivity of our workforce?
Oh, it's very important, right? I mean, there's really, I think, a couple of reasons that we chose to build this facility here, right? And I think first and foremost, it's really, Hemlock Semiconductor being here, right? As I mentioned, they're supplying our major raw material, so having that proximity is really important. But you can ship that stuff, right? Sure. Our history here through Dow Corning and Hemlock Semiconductor has been so positive that locating here and growing our presence here, I think, was an obvious choice. And I already mentioned all the support we've had from the local municipalities as well as from the state has really made it an easy choice for Corning to come here.
Well, Carlo, great seeing you today. Really appreciate what you're doing. It's an amazing investment right here in the Great Lakes Bay region. Wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
It could be the best years of your life. In retirement, you'll finally get to do what you want to do, but you have to plan for it. Start by tuning into Mindy and Nolan McIntosh of McIntosh & Associates every Sunday at noon for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Make retirement the best time of your life. Tune in Sundays at noon for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hello, I'm Shep.
And I'm Mark.
And we're the friendly board-certified entomologists from Rose Pest Solutions.
Hey, Shep, I've got a riddle for you.
Hit me.
Why don't anteaters get sick?
I don't know.
Because they're filled with antibodies.
You know, Mark, there are thousands of ant species that can run amok in your home.
To be effective, you've got to keep them straight.
The pros from Rose can correctly identify the ant and solve the problem.
Protect your health and home. Call 800-966-ROSE. Rose will get the best of your best.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
This is Christiana Malicata, the host of That's What She Said. This week, we're spilling the tea with a woman who puts her all into everything she does. Jody Kay talks with us about grief, taking big leaps, and living life to the fullest. Tune in.
That's What She Said with Christiana Malicata. Saturday mornings at 8 and Sunday evenings at 6 on WSGW and online at WSGW.com.
That wraps up this edition of the Art Lewis Show. Want to thank Carlos Scott from Corning Incorporated for joining me last hour. Up next is Focus with Matt Larson from Larson Insurance Solutions. But first, the news.
Broadcasting from the Stormmaster Exterior Studios.